Hi everyone, it's Beverly Cole. Welcome back to my studio in my RV. I'm going to show you a couple of projects in this journal, but first I want to talk about magazines again. My newest idea came about when I was thinking about cutting out stairs and ladders. I went through my magazines and I found, of course you remember this little guy, he had a door at the top. These stairs, all kinds of stairs and ladders to show up and down or back and forth or back to front or front to back or down to up. That was my idea. Don't they even just look cool like that? But something happened when I started looking through the magazines and I noticed, which is what will happen. If you play every day and just take something out and play with it, you're gonna come up with an idea. I came up with another idea. It still had to do with up and down and front to back and back to front, but it changed a bit. I want to talk about magazines and how things are set up sometimes. If you'll notice, in the table of contents in a magazine, which sometimes is pages long, they'll sometimes have a smaller picture of a larger picture further in the magazine. And you can see this one here is the same as this one. What you're seeing is, and I've already cut it out, is the ladder small and the ladder large. Now, when you put a larger ladder in front of a smaller ladder, it will take on the appearance that it's closer to you or further down or further away when it's higher up on your page. So when you're searching through your magazines, you might find something like that. And that could be the start of something where you can show distance or space in your journal. That's what we're going to do today. So here I cut out a woman with a cup of tea and she's enjoying it. She's really into it. And I'm putting her up higher on the page to show distance. And then I found these two drinks in another magazine, and I can put them closer to me or lower down on the page, and they look closer to me. So she looks further away and these look closer up. So that can show distance on a page in your journal. This one I really loved. I was looking at roads. After I noticed the stairs and the ladders, I came across roads and I thought, oh my gosh, look how cool that looks. Definitely taking you further into the distance, right? See how it's smaller and further away? This farm looks small and the mountains look even smaller. You know, you can't see a farm up there. Playing with pieces of magazine, I used my water Q-tip to tear this out. This was just torn out of the page, so that's a natural deckled edge. Then I cut out this house and I did the same thing. I used the Q-tip for the trees, but for the roof, because it's a straight line, it made more sense to cut it with scissors. So when you do this on the page, it gives you more distance. You see? Now we could also take some ink, and this is Distress Oxide Walnut Stain, which a lot of people use for inking around the edges. If we just ink around the edges of this a little bit, around those torn tree edges, and we put that here, it will help the house to stand out even more and give us even more of that three-dimensional look. So this is going to go onto a page, and you'll notice working with magazines, when you get a full landscapey kind of a roomscape, that you may have to put it in the middle of the page or between two pages, or just use a really big journal. I don't have one that big. Okay, so that's another one. Now back to where you see it at the table of contents and then further in the magazine. I'm going to cut this one out. I also keep a little bin for scraps near me because of JJ. I've told you before, he goes crazy. And now I'm going to use some water and I'm going to just remove right across here. I don't want that number. Tear off that number. You see where I'm going with this? best you can, and put it here. It will dry. Match up the tablecloths, and that table looks really, really long. Isn't that cool? So you could then wet that edge. I'm gonna wet this one here, across here. This is really a fun way to tear pages. I mean, it really is. It's so relaxing. I just wet it, wait. You know, where there's more ink, it takes a little longer. We know that. If you watched my other video about tearing, controlling the tear, I called it. So then we have matching the edges of the table cloth. Glue that down, and you have a really super long table, and you can put that in your journal. Dress it up with some other things, you know, trees like I've shown you before. I would love to see some of your work. I remember I told you guys in another video that you can go to my Facebook page, Beverly Cole Studio, and you can post your projects to share with all of us. That would be so, so great. So that's how that one would go. And I would just glue it. But I'm not done with it, so I'm gonna put that aside. Now remember, we're showing space and distance. Higher up, further away, lower down, closer, bigger, closer, smaller, farther away. I put this one in this book because this is the movie star part of my journals. And I have a couple of pieces of cardstock that I thought might go groovy with this. I have this beautiful photograph of a dock, black and white. So I searched for and found my movie star singer, the lady. I put her right here. So she's bigger, right? I think she's closer to the bottom, so she's closer. And then look how far away that dock goes. Then I wanted to put something else, and I found, this is one of my drawings of, this is actually, I think this is a sparrow. He looks pretty mighty though, doesn't he? And what you can do with him, not only to make him look closer, he's big, it's closer to us, would be higher up. Up here is kind of, well, he could be there, but he's always, because he's so big, he's gonna look closer. But I like him down here. He'll cover those words there. And I'm going to actually have him kind of flying off the page like so. So let's start with the cardstock, and I'm using my very sharp, close to my heart scissors, which are also non-stick, and they are, you know, like I've said a gazillion times, they're not in business anymore. So that's kind of disappointing, because I mean, I even had someone at the art retreat asking me where they could get some scissors like this because they lost theirs. I mean, I've had these so long, and they never are sticky, and they're never dull. It's so weird, but they aren't. I'm going to use this piece here, which I tore a little bit, but that doesn't matter. I roughed up the edge here. We can rough up the top edge as well, just to make it more interesting. Okay, and I believe I'm going to have to cut a little bit off because it's just a, maybe not. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing to this page, which doesn't take long at all. I mean, I have one of those Timmy tools for distressing edges, but it's somewhere in my storage room because I don't tend to use it. This works super well. So these are going to be the pages for that. This is to cover these pages because I want them to be more in tune with my photos in my scene. So this will kind of be like a frame. And I'm using some beacon glue that's, you know, not water-based, so the paper won't buckle. I'm using my new camera base. So far it's been working well. Unfortunately, the circle light in my last video kind of reflected in some of the magazine pages, so I apologize about that, and I hope it doesn't happen in this one as well. Okay, so that's the back of the page. So this cardstock will definitely make it sturdier. That's one side, and then this side, same thing. 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 Same th Now, even though I'm using cardstock here, all of the images that I'm showing you, with the exception of the last one I'm showing you, that one's got a freebie that you're going to be able to get until March 15th in my Ko-fi shop that can use in that type of a layout. So pay, don't take off on me. Keep watching, because that's at the end. That's going to be the last one we do together. Then this goes in the center. But I haven't purchased any of these magazines. These are all magazines I've either been given to me or I have found. Where's my ruler? I'm gonna just use the ruler to push it in there a little bit, like that. That's probably gonna help it tear also. And then just kind of push down and spread the glue out that's under there. So it can go to all the edges. Boom. So that looks nice, right? Boom. Catches your eye. It's very pretty. I hope it's not too shiny. Then I'm gonna put the lady, y'all who know this lady is, I'm gonna put her right on the scene. I sit here, I just sit in here when I am watching TV, honestly. Watching videos, even when I'm talking to George, just hanging out, I will flip through magazines. And no matter how much I flip through them, every single time I look at them, I see something I didn't see before. Believe it or not. And that's the thing. People look through magazines and then they put them aside and they're like, oh, I already looked at that magazine, and they get rid of them. But artists, junk journal artists in particular, can find things every time you look. Now, another reason I don't want to put them up here is that to make the picture flow, your eye will go up his wing, over to here and down. You're probably not even aware of it happening, but it does. And I'm going to cut him off the page. He's flying, so let's see, where did I measure? Okay, I'm going to cut him right there, but I won't cut him till we put him on, just in case I didn't measure completely right when I bent it over the edge. No, yeah, my real fancy measuring, known as eyeballing it. So where did I bend it? Here, so that I can see where, oops, the glue can roll off later when it's dry. Not a big deal. Push the glue so it goes to the edges. Then, because I really don't care to have his wing hanging off the edge, I'm gonna cut it off. Okay, so there's that layout. Quick and easy, gloopy gloppy glue. And of course, I can add words later, I can add anything I want. But just so you see the distance and the flow of this layout. Far away things higher up, closer things bigger and lower. You can see that just in the dock, how it's closer here, and as it goes further away, it gets smaller. Now look at this one. I've had this cut out, and I know it is a mirror, I presume, because this looks like something that you would put in a hallway, mirror, or maybe some art. So what I want to show is, let's pretend it's a window, and we're going to put this house behind it. And because it's higher up on the page and smaller, it's definitely further away. Now with this one, I'm not gonna leave that whole big paper back there. So I'm just gonna put a couple little lines here of where to cut it. We have this, and then we have this. This one would look better with some wallpaper, and I have another one, and this is the first one that I came up with. This one actually does use stairs, and it's super obvious that the size of things and the placement helps with the distance and the space. So that's what we're doing today. We're showing how to show space through how we lay out our pages and what we use to make them. So what I came up with was a stairway, Okay, stairway. And this is a piece, I believe it was a piece of furniture, but I cut it down because I thought it would make a really cool kind of a pillar, so to speak, okay, in a house. And then the stairway would go right here on this page. So that looks cool, right? I mean, you see some space, but it's empty. So I came up with, and this is your freebie for till March 15th. You'll get books in actually 3 sizes, but you will be able to resize them yourself if you prefer, if you know how to do that. And I'm sure some of you at least know how. And then you're going to get wallpaper, and these were all designed by me. These were actually made with artificial intelligence, so just so you know. This is the close-up wallpaper, and this is the far-away wallpaper. Actually, the same thing. I'm going to put this one here. This is our close-up wallpaper, okay? And the pillar. And the pillar is going to go right to the edge in there. And the staircase is going to go behind here. So what you will be looking for in order to use these things is some close-up and far-away objects from magazines. You're gonna go on a hunt. You know, I mean, I got a ladder too, just so, you know, we can move this away and say, well, where's the ladder going? Up, you know, like that. That's interesting, right? So much fun. How about these stairs? I didn't finish cutting them out, but you can see up the flight, up the next flight. And then we'll add the books. And also the books are in, whoops. You know what happens when you start piling stuff on top of each other. I lost my books. All right, so let's go on and I'll get to them. All right, so this wallpaper will go on this page, and it definitely is too long, so I can trim that off, but let me see how much. Oh yeah, yes, pretty much bigger. So I'll just take my trusty pencil if I can find it. Here it is. Stick it under the page, here and here. I'm gonna put the busier part of the roses up there because the books will be down here and I want them to stand out. So we'll again glue this down. This one will go up here. I already had the floor, which is from a furniture magazine, actually a furniture catalog, huge, thick, fancy schmancy furniture catalog. And I'm going to put it this way. Whoop. And I want the busy part again away from where the books will be. The books are going to be towards the middle of the page. So then I had to decide, okay, do I want this column, do I want the books behind it to show that this is even bigger than the books? And also to show when I put this up, when I find them, the smaller books will go on the steps. Found them. Okay, I had already cut these so that they will sit on the steps. So what I'm thinking is just to make it kind of a mirror image kind of thing, I'm gonna put the books behind this so they go down first. So I have to figure out where I'm gonna put them. So I think I'm gonna put them right about here, and I want to ink the edges to help them stand out a bit. I love inking edges. It was always one of my favorite things to do when I was making cards and selling close to my heart. Oh, I just love inking and making, you know, cards. It was so much fun. Couldn't believe the first time I used a stamp, how it just made the image it made. It was just fascinating to me. Okay, so those are going to go right here. Check that again. Okay, yeah, right about here. Same thing, glue, glue, glue. Now you could make this into a pocket if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that today, but of course, you know, if you're doing a, you know, an actual journal that you're going to write in, which, you know, I leave writing space, but I never use them. So, but one of them that I'm going to make is George and I are seeing a lot of doctors these days at our age, and there's certain things we have to keep a record of. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make a wellness book. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please let me know in the comments. Someplace where you know, list your medications and what you eat every day, or your blood pressure every day, you know, plus definitely places to write, lots of places to write, but it's also very cute. Now this too, well, I'll have to just kind of ink the edges carefully. I can't believe how much those close to my heart scissors cut out like a razor blade. I mean, gosh, I've had them for eons and they just never went dull. Love them. I mean, I've got the other B ones, so I can't remember what they're called. They're yellow and black, I think, but those are not as sharp. No way are they that sharp. Okay, so this I'm just gonna glue. I'm not gonna worry about where they're gonna go across the center of the book down in that little gully. It will go. It's only a little piece of it that needs to. I'm not sure how far up I have to glue either. Let's see. Okay, cover on the glue so it doesn't ooze. And let's see, bottom of the page, because that's as close as it can get to us. I'm gonna line it up along there, and this little bit goes in the gully, or the gutter, whatever you want to call it. Okay, right there, and up here there's a tiny bit, and let's see if I put enough glue that far. Yes, I did. So that's just gonna get cut off. And here we have this side. And I know these look like they're floating a little. I probably should put some floor under there. Get out my bin, see if I have any extra floor pieces. I do. I could definitely put some floor there. Let's see if I can lift that. Ooh. It's cooperating. Wow, that really was amazing. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick the floor under here. Kind of a last minute change, but that happens. Yep, they're sitting on the floor now. That actually looks a lot better. Doesn't look good to have things floating in space, especially when you're making like a, you know, a roomscape or a hallwayscape or whatever we're gonna call this. Nice. And then that shows you some space, but this is gonna show a lot of space. Okay, I already have it cut where I want it, up to the top. Actually, that's as far as I got it out of the magazine. So this is what you'll be looking for. You look in a furniture magazine or any kind of home magazine, and they got the ads for the tables and chairs. You'll see the legs of the chairs or the table, and that could be something you could turn into a pillar, or you might even just find a pillar. And then stairways, well, you cut them out of photographs of rooms. You might see an advertisement. You know what I saw the other day was an advertisement for windows, and I was like, look at that beautiful window. Oh, so beautiful. Okay, so this is the stairway going up. There's the wallpaper, and the books are small. So I'm looking for a stair where they might fit. I would like to put them higher up, but they're kind of not sitting on the step. Here's where they're sitting on the step, or they're sitting there. So I'm gonna put them, maybe I'll put them there. Or should I put them there? I originally wanted them way up here, but I think they kind of get lost. So I'm not sure where I want them, but I'm gonna put them where I think will be best seen. Oops, forgot a little bit of ink. And I think here. Okay, so there, and I'm just gonna cut this guy. Whoops, don't wanna cut my string off that page, off that tag. I could cut it or I could sand it. Might have to sand it later. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue there, hold that in place. And then I noticed these are kind of sticking up. And I printed these books and the wallpaper on cardstock, just because it's easier for me to use. But if you don't want something that thick in your book, don't use it. The stairs kind of go off into nowhere land, which is fine. This isn't a picture of a house. This is well, for lack of a better word, it is a collage. In your freebie, you get the wallpaper and you get 3 sizes of books, but you will also be able to change the size of your wallpaper and your books. So don't worry about that, okay? So that's that, and this book is getting pretty full. This is my lady book. That's what I said about putting lady in here. I just think that's so cool. This one with the tables, the feminine book, and I think this might just really be cute in here. I like that edge there. It looks like trees, so I'm gonna leave that. And with the table in the middle, about there, I'm gonna tear this edge too. I think that might be very cool. Let's tear the edge. Yep, that's my sink. I'm right in front of it. In an RV, I got my island, and this RV has a little countertop that pulls up. And that's where I am. Maybe I'll show you a picture of what it looks like in here. I'll go up and down this edge as well. Flip it over and try to get that water to saturate the paper. If you didn't watch the other video, you're gonna want to. The one where I say, losing control. Me or my journal. Okay, I need to let that soak in a little more. Let me fill a glass here so we don't have glass. Put some water in a cup so I have something closer at hand. There we go. I just think that the torn edges look really cool with the green. Like I said, whenever there are trees or flowers, any botanical part, the tearing really adds to it. Where is it tearing? Not yet. A lot of ink on this paper. Yeah, there's a lot of ink. We can scrub it. After all, this time we want it to rip. We are not looking, oh my gosh, we better not rub too hard because we'll tear the paper. Well, that's what we want to do. So that's why you can scrub it if you need to. Don't worry. Don't worry. I even scrubbed the color off. So we have the torn edge here, and this one that's all right, but it's not torn too much, but that's okay. So I want to put this on the page, and it's too wide. So I'm going to kind of say, okay, we're going to go here, and we want it to be about that wide. Use your fingernail to measure. So that's the place where the binding is, that little gully. So that's where I'm going to rub now with my water, right down where the gully will be in the book. You can already see the color coming off because of the way I'm rubbing it, and that's okay. We'll get through that ink. When we get through the ink, it'll tear. See? Look at that. Now remember, we're using magazine, but all the other things that you use in your journals, stamps and buttons and ribbon and lace and all that fun stuff. Don't think you can't add it to these. What you'll be doing is making a mixed media page. Believe it or not, that's what that is. Mixed media. When you mix all kinds of mediums, you get mixed media. Okay? Nice, right? You could also ink these edges, but I'm not going to. I'm fine with it. So let's take our book here. And then this is going to be part of it also. But to make it blend in more, I'm going to tear it. You can see how those straight cuts did not help to blend the two pictures together. And I'm not even going to worry about that building back there. I'm not going to worry about it. It's part of the background, but you know, also, there's so much on this table where your eyes will be looking that the backgrounds, by being torn like this, will pretty much blend together. The table part is already torn. You don't have to worry about that. And now I'm just gonna tear off like I've done before. Whoopsie. Where it's wet, it tears much easier. Some parts aren't as wet as others because I'm rushing. I always do this, I rush and I don't need to. But you see that? Some more of that wet tearing. Okay. Where the tables come together. And now, I'm thinking maybe a little bit of ink to just kind of clean up the white edges where it's coming together. That might make it blend a little better. Let's see. Yeah, that's good. I want the lawn together. I want the table. All right, well, the lawn's not going to be the same height, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, this is where people will be looking. So let's go ahead and glue these into our book. And what would go really great with this page, although I'm not going to take the time to look for one right now, perhaps you do, if you do a page like this, you will find one, is what I'm gluing over right now. Oh my gosh, I just noticed it. A menu. That I thought would look so great with this page. Unfortunately, it's on the back of this, so that's not going to work. Unless I had two magazines of the same magazine with the same pictures. So if you have, you know, more than one magazine of the same kind, don't think you can't use it. Don't think because it's just, oh, I already have that one. Oh, goodness, no. Not when you do this kind of stuff. Sure, if you're reading it, yeah, I already read that one, but no. Now you could do this, right? What we're going to do, or you could put it over here, you know, and that would be cute too. But because today we're working on things that to show the distance and the space, I'm going to do it the way we planned so that you can see how that gives you more, even more distance than the plain table. Now, I know that's usually it would get blurrier in the back as it goes back, and I know that's not the case, but hey, it's our art journal or our junk journal or our journal, whatever you want to call it, journal. I'm not quite sure what kind of journals I make. I just call them journals. I love it. I love it. I think that's so great. Okay, and the same thing. You could take some ink or some paint and you could go back there. Let me see if I have any. What is this one? Peeled paint. Let's see if it helps at all. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how that just made it blend in. Isn't that amazing? Look at this one. Oh yeah. Fun. Fun. Look at that. The background just came together. I love it. And this is just a, you know, Distress Oxide ink. If you use paint, it would dry permanently. This does not, just so you know. Okay, so that's another way to show the distance. Maybe we could do one more. I really like this one. I really like this one. So this one is more of a, the houses. Is that not the houses in this one? Yeah. Yeah, this is the one. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to do it in here. And this one has a lot of green in it. So, of course, this one's almost full. Let's find a spot where you have 2 pages. There we go. So I'm going to do the same thing with the edges as I did before. More off the sky. Oh, as usual, can't do it right the first time. Can't do it right the first time. Oh, I can see words through the paper. It's fun. You know, if your kids see you doing this, they'll be like, what are you doing, Mom? Oh, can I try? Don't be surprised. Especially if they have trouble cutting straight. or using scissors. They can tear a lot easier than cutting. Look how fast that's going to come together. I have one more edge to tear, and then we'll be ready to glue this one down. So that wasn't the last one I was going to show you, was it? With the freebie in my Ko-fi shop. Nope. That's okay. All right, so here we go. Look how fast. I had already torn this one earlier. Oh, I got to tear that edge. Just a little edge. Okay. All right. Right, we did use some ink right there already. So same thing. I'm just going to glue this into the center. It's a magazine from Maine because I was up there for, like I said, work camping up there from April to end of October. Long time. But it's so beautiful up there. And all these roads were in an article, you know, about back roads. So if you're looking at travel magazines, you can find some very cool things. And I would love for you to share with me what you find, where you find it. I've had people ask me what kind of magazines to look for, and it just depends on what you're looking for. So if you're looking for something with back roads, they always put the stuff on the front of the magazine about what's in it. There's so many food magazines, and that's probably the least place, if that makes sense, where I would find things is a food magazine. But even there, you're going to find some things. This is a little bit off the page, but never fear, we can use my Q-tip's pretty much gone. But yeah, you just tear it off and make it even. Travel magazines, great for scenery, roads and streets and mountains, and magazines like Southern Living, they're always putting things in there about architecture, their restaurants, and you can get a lot of building pictures in those magazines. This is an advertisement for this kind of building that they make in Connecticut, and the back scenery is Maine. I'd love to hear from you, and I've really been enjoying reading the comments. Well, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.